Hello traders, welcome back to Simply Forex. Lovely to see you. Guys, we've got a great live stream for you today. If you're a trader and you're serious about taking this trading from a hobby to a full-time job, and you want capital and investment, you need to grow your capital, then this is the webinar for you guys. As you can see, I am joined by Juan, and Juan is the CEO and co-founder of DarwinX. So Juan, hi, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Very pleased to be with you guys.
Good. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Juan. We look forward to spending the next 30-40 minutes with you, and we will basically, Juan, we'll ask you a few questions about DarwinX and how traders can attract this investment, and we'll have a small Q&A at the end from all the guys that are watching. Hello to everyone who's watching. All right, so Juan, rather than me describe your company, why don't you tell the viewers what DarwinX is?
Okay. So, I mean, given I'm speaking to traders, I'm just going to speak from the trader's heart and where this all comes from. So I happen to be the brother to what the world calls a retail trader. Back in 2010, he had been working on his track record for several years and wanted to go from hobby to like life or like making a living from trading. He's a civil engineer, no financial background or no background in traditional finance. And then he basically had raised some friends and family money and realized it was just very, very, very hard to do things the proper way with regulation and so on. And so he started digging and eventually said, okay, this is completely bollocks and I can't be the only one. So we basically set up DarwinX so that no one else has to go through that. That was 2012. And fast forward to today, it's basically a fintech company that's had to acquire brokerage licenses as well as asset management licenses that has raised upwards of 100 million euros to allocate to traders. And I'm very happy to see that the top trader in the platform now has got 30 million assets under management. So if he repeats this year what he's done for the last 7 years, he stands to make €1 million through us. So
brilliant. And it was your brother Juan that inspired you to do this.
Well, I mean, it was my brother who did it. So he's kind of the number one employee of the company. I'm number two. I mean, we both set it up at the same time. So he basically does everything to do with the product and understands the intricacies. And I'm the guy who got the money here and keeps the regulators happy and the shareholders happy and the partners happy and try and keep the world happy. So the team can do, can continue building the product.
Yeah, sure. And what would you say is the goal, the mission statement of DarwinX?
The mission statement of DarwinX is that any strategy that deserves capital gets as much capital as it deserves.
Okay. All right. Pretty simple and to the point. It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. Yeah. And then, of course, and that's hopefully that will come across today. Everything that we do is built in a way such that we thrive with traders. So everything we do, including Darwin Ex Zero, is a way to get more people to deserve more capital faster by helping them grow to their full potential, because it's in our interest to get there. That's how our business model works.
Sure. Okay. And your company's split up into traders who you are, wanting to get investment for, but you also have the other side where you have investment from DarwinX and third-party investors as well, and you marry the two together.
Yes, but I think one important way to describe it is a lot of people think we have two clients, and actually we don't. I think we've got a product which is investor capital, which either we supply or the investor or the investors that we get supply, but that's a product feature because our clients are the traders. So, and we look at the world the upside down. Now, a lot of people assume that the traders are something we need to get the investors, and actually it's the other way around. The investors are something we need to get the traders.
Okay, all right, I like that idea. Yeah, the traders are the focus, and you're doing everything to support them and get them investment. All right, great.
Because without the traders, there's nothing. So,
No, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You, yeah, you have nothing to invest in.
yeah.
Exactly. All right, great. And then if we just focus on the traders, because obviously, on our channel, Juan, all traders either, starting, new traders or part-time traders or full-time traders as well. So we've got a real mix on our channel.
Mhm.
And they will be really interested to understand the products available to them, because lots of them are obviously wanting to increase capital and trade larger amounts of money.
Mhm.
So, I've looked, obviously we're in a partnership now, and we offer your products as part of our channel.
Mhm.
Can you talk us through Darwin Ex Zero first of all? We obviously got Darwin X Classic as well, but if we focus on Darwin Ex Zero and just
Mhm.
explain to the traders what this is.
Okay. But before we go into that, I think you've made some very interesting points, and I think there's more to it than meets the eye. So you mentioned you have traders who are at different stages in their journey. They might be
Mm,
starting out, or they might be kind of trading full time and thinking of going to the next step. But I think what's important to me is to define what a trader is to begin with, because
sure.
trading doesn't make you a trader.
Mm,
I think what makes you a trader is, or a manager, is someone who understands that. I mean, who loves the market,
mm,
honestly, and I'm going to go as far as saying, even if there was no money in it.
mm,
Okay, I think in many the best traders, or when I can tell a trader, it's somebody who's there because he loves the challenge,
mm.
because he loves proving himself, and of course the money is great. But don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. I mean, we all want to make money, right? But it's
yeah,
and we need to kind of we all need to pay the bills. But I think
yeah.
that the money is like a byproduct of a long-term process
Mm,
that takes a lot of self-improvement, and
yeah,
yeah, and not everybody who's trading is looking at it from the standpoint of a trader. So
sure.
everything we do, and starting with Darwin Ex Zero, is for the long-term minded who kind of are interested by the challenge of the markets and by proving
Mm,
themselves, if that's what it takes, against others. Because I mean, the money you make, or the rankings, are basically a way to prove that you're processing on the right direction. But if
yeah.
anybody's trying to kind of turn a quick buck and thinking that they're going to make millions from us in a month, I'm
Mm,
afraid that's not what we can offer.
yeah.
So that
And
that
I
was
couldn't agree more, Juan. This is exactly what I preach on my channel.
Mhm.
It's about, focusing on getting into the best trades you can, focusing on becoming the best trader you can. And money is a byproduct of that.
Mhm.
The focus isn't the money, it's becoming the best trader you can. So yeah, couldn't agree more with that, Juan. And then yeah, this Darwin X Zero, how does that work, and how can traders access that?
Mhm. Okay, so I always start with why. So why did we launch Darwin Ex Zero? Well, we did because we have another product that we'll discuss now, which is Darwin X, where people can essentially trade live capital to prove the track record with a view to landing the investor capital that we mentioned. Now, what we learned from that, and we've been doing that for 10 years, is that a lot of people come to us after having traded for a while without having approached the trading as a trader. If you see what I mean, it's like they come from prop challenges, or kind of brokers where they've levered a lot, and so on. And the mindset is, okay, yeah, and I just want to have an evaluation to prove how good I am, and I'm going to trade this much leverage, and I'll prove that I can make 10% in a month, and this and that, and what have you, and then we'll get there. And then what we saw was that if you approach the market that way, there's only one way that things can end up, and that's basically in the bin.
Mm,
So we set up Zero as a way to start from zero,
mm,
with a trader mindset. And what it is it's a platform for people to certify a track record in an accountable way,
mm,
to prove to themselves, to the broader world, and eventually to the investors, that they are worthy of investor trust.
sure.
Okay, so Darwin Ex Zero is a platform to build a track record
Mm,
that we have made as realistic as possible,
mm,
to approach the market as a long-term asset manager who's looking to raise a track record from day one, and one where we basically pay some money of our own pocket to incentivize what we think is healthy growth patterns in a track record.
Sure.
So, yeah, a way to think of it is as realistic as possible. A game about the markets, because we're not asking people to risk live capital. They trade in a virtual environment that pays cash from as early as they show promise, and the better and the longer you do, then the more cash we pay out to you.
And you said as soon as they show promise, Juan. What sort of time frame are we talking, and how long does the track record need to be before they start becoming investable?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, to receive, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Like, to receive outside investment, it's extremely hard for an intelligent investor to allocate even one dime for track records with less than 3 years. Okay. So this is where that's what it is.
Sure.
Now, of course, we understand that's a long time to be waiting, and then it's also quite hard to know whether one's even traveling in the right direction. So we offer incentives in the shape of virtual capital allocations that people can receive as early as month one, even though that's not the kind of it's not a guarantee. But at any given point in time, about 10% of parties in the platform operate or receive a capital allocation. So it's reasonably easy to receive one of these allocations. And as one progresses, the system's designed in a way such that the cost of the service becomes essentially free, because the cash that you get out of it is more than the cash you put into it. And then you can gradually grow to hundreds of euros per month, thousands of euros per month, all the way up to the 1 million that top guy stands to make this year if he does well. And the limit on that is basically two things. One is the quality of the track record, and two is how successful Darwinex is in generating investor trust, and therefore delivering on the mission of getting capital to anybody who deserves it.
Sure. Okay. So basically, you want a 3-year track record, but for people who don't have that, there is still investment opportunities for you to build in the shorter term. Okay, that's great.
Yes.
That'd be great for our listeners to know as well.
And then there's another point also, which is, I read this, I've got these self-motivation things on my computer, and the other day it said the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So you can do anything you want, but if you don't have a track record and you don't start it today, you're always going to be at T minus 3 years. So you know, if you start today, at least every day is counting towards that. If you don't, then well, you don't. So
no, exactly, and you can't expect investment straight away. You know, you've got to prove to investors that you can trade, you're consistently profitable, and to help with that, Juan, I know you do a risk management as to help the trader, and this sometimes makes their performance slightly different to the investor, because you're making them as attractive to investment as they can be.
Yeah. Okay, that's going to take a bit of time to explain, because I start with why. So yes, at the end, that's what happened. So there is a transformation between what the trader does on his account versus what the index does, that decides how much you get paid, whether you get an allocation, and so on and so forth. So let's start from the ground up so that people can follow us.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody gets 100,000 euros virtual capital. Okay. And then the game is to grow those 100,000 euros as if they were your dad's pension. Okay, that's a very important mindset. We've done it 100,000 euros because we want you to start thinking from the ground up. Okay, this is not 500 bucks I'm gambling to hopefully make 1 million. No, this is your dad's pension. It's taking him like.
You have a good relationship with your dad. This is
well, yeah, or your mom. I mean, whoever, like somebody who's very dear to you, and for whom 100,000 euros is like a lot of money.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
But not you, because then you'd be tempted to say, I'm just, whatever. You got to treat it with third-party respect.
Accountability, really.
Accountability. Okay, so you can't show up and just say, hey, tough shit, I kind of blew up your 100,000 euros. It's just not.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So kind of partner, step number one in the game is to keep 100,000 euros. Okay, that's kind of number one. And then the second step is to grow those 100,000 euros consistently so that your first investor stays happy, so keeps them with you. And then he is going to tell others and saying, look, this guy's doing a consistent job of growing my 100,000 euros. Just you want to give it a shot. And that's how you grow from 100,000 to 200,000, 300,000, whatever it is. Now, I think an important thing to say now is that getting investor capital is like getting ketchup out of a bottle. Okay, you hit the thing and you hit the thing and nothing comes out, and then the first drop comes out, and then if you keep hitting the proper way, and now it's close to the exit, then bam, it all comes out. But it's a very logarithmic progression when that happens. So right now, of course, everybody who's in the platform wants investor capital. And every hedge fund in the world wants investor capital, and there's a lot of capital, but there's not infinite capital to go around. So there's a competition in doing that. Okay, so let's say we've now got a competition where there's like two guys who are trying to grow the 100,000 euros, and they're competing for one investor. So if those two guys have free reign on basically growing the returns, then there's always going to be an incentive to take higher risk. Right? Because you take higher risk, higher position sizes, more trades, and so on, you stand a bigger chance of growing 100,000 euros by more. Yes. Of course, you're increasing the odds of blowing 100,000 euros. And then, there's got to be some sort of rule that says the risk that these 100,000 euros are incurring in the hands of A versus B is comparable, because if it's not, then it's not an apples to apples level playing field.
No, I understand. It's not about who can grow the account the quickest. It's about who can grow the account the safest.
The safest, yes. Okay. Yeah. Now, safe is in the eye of the beholder. Okay. So to one investor, safe is, no more than 2% drawdown. In the eye of another, is like no more than 5% of drawdown. So we need to somehow define safe. That's kind of point number one. Now, on the point of safe, the way Darwinex is designed is the trader is not going to face the investor themselves. We are going to. Quite specifically myself, because I'm the CEO of the company. So, and we have an FCA asset management license for that. And we're accountable vis-a-vis the end investors. Okay, so if something happens, the buck doesn't stop with the trader loses the investment, but that's it. He doesn't have to pay anything back. But I get a very, very nasty phone call from an investor. And if that investor is not satisfied after they speak to me, then I'll have to speak to the FCA, because the investor has the right to go to speak to the FCA.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. And obviously, retail traders could never get these, this legislation. You need to be a huge company in order to.
Well, you can, but basically, there's going to be three things when you do that. So you're going to have to convince the FCA that they give it to you. You're going to have to pay a lot of people until you get to that point. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that you'll have to continue doing a lot of things to keep it to begin with. And that's really not the best use of your time. It's hard enough to beat the market as it is. So that's the tough one. So now we've got these two traders, both of whom are competing for capital from different investors, and we need to somehow create a level playing field so that the traders don't feel like they're being kind of taken advantage of, and that the investors have a way to choose between A and B.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that's the game we're trying to play here. And now to achieve that, how do you do it? Well, we can go into the details of that, but we have algorithms, because this is a machine that does it. There's no human intervention. There's a machine that looks at the way trader 1 and trader 2 trade. And it says, if this guy trades next month like he traded last month and he's consistent, then a hypothetical investor who invested at today, he's got a certain percent of having made X over the next month. Okay, and this is kind of this is statistically involved, but it's the only way to do it. Okay, so we're looking at the investor risk. Risk is always on a forward-looking basis, and we say, okay, over a 1 month horizon, what are the odds of making a certain amount of money, plus minus whatever? Okay, and what we do is we look at the trading pattern of that trader over the last month, and we say, we have promised the investor, and that's what we do. We have promised the investor that if he invests in this thing, his account is going to be about as volatile as the S&P 500. Okay, we're telling the investor you can invest in the S&P 500, or actually, and you can invest in these traders who are about as risky as the S&P 500, but they can do well when the S&P 500 is doing badly. So they're an interesting addition to your portfolio, and that's our investor promise. Okay, so you've got this trader here, you put 100 in here, it's going to move on average by about the same as the S&P 500 over a long-term horizon.
Okay. So yeah, so the focus is on risk and protecting investors, which is clear. And in my mind, it's almost like the trader becomes a hedge fund. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly that. You become a hedge fund manager from zero. I mean, that's the bit. You got to approach this thing. You fake it until you make it. I'm going to behave like a hedge fund manager from day zero. Okay, that I joined the platform, which is the second best day to become a hedge fund manager. Like the best one was 20 years ago. The second one is today. Okay, so that's per the previous sentence. So you're going to approach this thing. You've got your first 100,000 euros of investment. You've been seeded by your dad's pension, and now you need to grow this thing. And you need to grow this thing by delivering returns and attracting capital. Okay, now for you to attract capital, you have to make an investor promise and keep it.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And then the investor promise that everybody makes is, I'm going to grow your capital. The risk is going to be about the same as the S&P 500, and I'm going to take care of producing the most return for that risk.
Sure.
That's the game.
Yeah.
But everybody, trader 1 and trader 2, everybody gets the same risk budget. You can't just, there's no way, and that gets into the mechanics of how it all works. But if you lever up more and more your 100,000 euros, this machine is going to basically change your return in a way such that you're still playing a fair game against all the other traders in the platform.
Yeah, I understand, but but a lot of it is common sense from the trader. Yeah,
I think it's consistency. All that you need from the trader. Yeah, it's not even common sense. It's just consistency. You could still be trading too much risk, but as long as you do it consistently, as I'll explain in a second, then you're still okay.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
And maybe this is something like very. I think it's probably easiest to just kind of show you in practice how it all works. But I think I just wanted to lay the ground rules as to how it all works, because I always start with the why. So, and then I think I'm just thinking of what's the best way to get you guys up to speed on this.
Because a lot of questions we're getting, and I think a lot of the traders there appreciate that they need to show consistency over a period of time. They need to limit risk. Nobody wants a risky trader, down 10% one day, up 20% the next. And a lot of these traders and a lot of our subscribers come from a prop firm world, if you like, and they're perhaps not as don't understand that there are companies like Darwinex out there. If anyone wants funding, they generally think prop firm, but obviously Darwinex is a totally different proposition. So we get a lot of questions like, what's the max drawdown, what is the profit target, etc. But it's not like that with Darwinex, and we're also getting a lot of questions like, can I trade an algo, can I do copy trading, etc. But if you could just explain that, Juan, it's different, isn't it?
It is different. So I'm just going to try and log into the platform, because is there a chance to share our my screen? Okay.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we can see the screen.
So to get to the specifics, okay, and then coming back to your point on the prop firm thing. So this trader here, this curve you see over here, this is the best trader in the platform. Well, at least the one that's attracted the most assets under management. Okay, and it's currently got 31 million of assets under management.
Okay.
So he's received, by the way, the prize for the world's best performance for an FX strategy over 5 years. Okay, so there's got to be something about good about it, in the sense that they probably haven't. The Hedgefund magazine has been looking for strategies that did better than that and hasn't found them. Okay, so
brilliant, amazing. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, but I mean it's pretty. Yeah, I mean we can talk about that later. But for now, let me just show you. This is the yearly returns. I'm trying to show my screen here. I'm just going to increase the size. Can you see the numbers here?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Okay, so these are the yearly. I'm just going to make it bigger. So basically, the yearly returns that this trader has posted are anywhere. Obviously, he had a monster year in 2015, but on average, I would say it's kind of 15 to 20% per year. That's sort of the compound average over time. So the returns we're looking for, if you divide 20% per year, is about 1.5% per month on a compound basis.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that get you? Well, it gets you to 31 million times 20% of return gives you about 6.5 million. You keep 15% of that, which is what we pay net after having paid all the costs that go with this. There's no downside. That gives you €1 million per year.
Okay. So just to clarify that, Juan, so any investment you receive, you will get 20% of the returns will go to DarwinX, and then 15% of that will
75% of that, or 15%. So
of the 20 or 75%, will go to the trader.
Correct. So the split is 80% goes to the investor, 15% goes to the trader, and 5% goes to us.
Okay.
That's the split. So going back to your point on the prop side of things, what is a good return? Well, a good return is compound 1.5% every month, as consistent as you can get to that, because if you've got a straight line that goes up 1.5% per month, then investors will give you even more than 30 million, because this guy, and now let's get back to what's the drawdown. His drawdown peak to trough was 15%. Okay, his worst drawdown. So at some point, which is probably either here,
maybe around there,
thereabouts, or maybe like from a peak here to there, when you can see this in the platform. Yeah, give or take, that was there. Okay. Now, to the best of my knowledge, he would have been kicked out of any prop program on account of this drawdown.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, most of them are 8%, 10%.
Yeah. So which kind of goes to show, okay, well, so much for that. So if the top performer in FX hedge funds over 5 years has had 1.5% per month and a 15% drawdown, then I think he would have made nothing out of these prop programs, which goes to tell you about how many people actually make any money out of that. Of course, there will be some people who make money out of it. You can always play the lottery and win, but that's about the element of. I'm not going to talk things down. I know there's a lot of payouts out there, and I think if you're smart, you can maximize the odds of playing that lottery. But I think there's too much of an element of lottery in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're comparing your product, your company, to a prop firm. Obviously they're very different. So why is yours so different? If you could just explain to our viewers, so you were talking about drawdown, you were talking about profits, etc. Why is yours such a better offering? Because some of our viewers were, they're like, oh, I can get an 80% share of the capital that they generate on a prop firm. But I just wanted to hear your side of that, Juan.
Okay. So first of all, I wouldn't frame this as us or a prop firm. If somebody has got a good strategy and they think they've got good odds, which they may have, of making a good money on that strategy via the prop payouts, which is essentially a lot of leverage, then by all means, I mean, nothing should stop them from doing that. Of course, it can become expensive, but I think the one thing that there's several things that I think we've got that they don't. The first one is the fact that you can have a losing month at DarwinX, you're not going to lose your track record. Okay, sure. So with a prop where you can lose your track record at any time, the best time to plan your track record will always be today, because you will not have a track record. So that's
Yeah.
so, and then in terms of the what's better about what we do, well, is the cost of certifying your track record is 38 euros per month, assuming you don't get any paybacks on the virtual allocations that we do, or zero, and by that I mean zero, free, if you've got a live account with our broker. So for 1,000 euros of a live account, which is not at risk, you can get all that we're going to show you for free.
Okay, and that's Darwinex Classic, Juan.
That's Darwinex Classic,
Yeah.
but both are in the same place. So the idea that we did zero is that a lot of people approach the markets before they know what they can do. They put down 500. You tell me what the prices of challenges are these days. Like $500, $1,000, $5,000 plus all the resets and what have you, and then you get no track record for it.
Yeah,
Whereas with
sure.
us, you basically, if you don't know what you're doing, you pay 38 euros a month to certify to yourself that you're learning what you're doing. And once you realize you don't, because nobody knows when they start, it's going to cost you 38 euros plus, by a couple of months. The minute you've learned what you need to do not to blow 100,000 euros or 1,000 euros, whatever it is, then you take 1,000 euros, which you've kept because you haven't got into all these challenges. You open a live brokerage account, which is going to grow your capital. It doesn't cost you anything other than the foregone interest on that thing. And then you get a track record certification plus the possibility to land up to 30 million for free.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I think it's infinite return on capital if you've got 1,000 euros to put down and you've got a good strategy. And if you don't, the best thing you can do is not. Well, anyways, so that's the first point. Okay, so and why is it all so different? Because we think in the long run. So the top hedge funds in the world get paid 20, tops 30% success fee. Okay, so that's the going market rate. A professional investor will not pay the top hedge fund in the world more than 30% success.
Okay, of the profit they generate.
Of the profit they generate. So one has to wonder, where's the catch? Why is somebody offering you 80 to 90% of payout on some alleged investor capital? I'll leave that question there. I think it's a big question mark out there.
Yeah.
Okay. If we could get 80% payouts from investors, we would. But we haven't succeeded at that because investors say, why should I pay you 80% success where, I'm not paying that for the top hedge funds. So that's a question mark, which I'll leave out there. So, of course, if one can get it, then one should go for it. Again, I'm not saying you don't do it, but then you should wonder what happens, and I'm hinting my Forex funds, hint, what happens if the incentives are stacked up in a way such that it's better for people to keep the so-called evaluation fee than to back the traders.
Okay. All
so
right.
backing traders, backing traders for 80% payout is a losing proposition. That's all I can say, because we've been trying to. We've been looking for the best track records in Darwinex for years now. If we had paid 80% success fee, or if the investors had paid 80% success fee, no one, and I repeat, no one would have made money from a diversified portfolio, because one trader is going to make it, but if you back traders, then 5 or 6 are not, and what you lose were the ones that don't. You don't get back from the ones that do.
Yeah, sure. No, okay, yeah, good point, Swan. And there's other ways to attract capital, but yours is a hedge fund, and it's based on managing risk, which is any investment, any financial company in the world will be based on that.
I think we are a way to build that track record that will get you capital, and then we can get you the capital. There's other places you can get the capital, but there's not that many places where you've got a track record that outside investors will trust. So I would say what is different about us, we give you a track record and capital. The others give you capital, and we give you a track record for free if you put down a very modest amount of money in a brokerage account or a monthly 38 euro subscription.
Sure. And your goal is to get traders to basically become a hedge fund where they become their own brand and they attract third-party investment, almost become a brand, a product in themselves.
Yeah, I'm not in the office today, but this guy that I've shown you now, his track record is published on Bloomberg, and he's available to hedge funds. That's why he's on the Hedgefund magazine and so on. And we're basically starting a fund with him now. So
does he want to share his strategy, Juan, with us?
No, That's the other bit that makes us different, is that the only people who know what the trader is trading is our dealing desk, meaning 3 people in the world. No good trader will want to publish his trades.
No, okay. So you have the risk desk is the only people that know.
That's the only people that do. Because if the strategy is the best strategy in the world, it's quite easy to basically copy that thing and make a killing and pay peanuts to the trader. And it's hard enough to come up with a strategy to be fooled.
He's put in the hard work, sure. So that's pretty much everything from the trader point of view. So just to recap for our subscribers and our viewers, there is Darwin Ex Zero, where you trade virtual capital, and you can attract investment that way. And there's a monthly subscription fee and a one-off sign-up fee. And just to mention to all of our subscribers right now, guys, we have a code, simply. So there's a link below this live stream, guys. If you click on the link, use the code simply, and you'll get 40% off all Darwin Ex Zero products. All right, guys. So thanks, Juan, for that. And then there's also Darwinex Classic, where you are trading your own capital, and obviously there is no monthly fee, and you trade your own capital, and you can still attract investment that way. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and then I just wanted to talk things from the investor's point of view. So if I have a Darwin, by the way, guys, it's called a Darwin, and you get a Darwin which people invest into. Can I invest into my own Darwin?
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I just wanted to check that. And how do you go about attracting these investors, Juan? How because you've got retail traders pretty much. I know, obviously this guy's one of the best traders in the world. How do you go about attracting that investment? And is it just all built on the stats that your company generate for each trader?
Okay, so we've built a very strong community of like-minded traders who basically are committed to the accountability process, and everybody at Darwinex is on the same level playing field. So if somebody gets to join today, they're going to be in the same platform as this guy. Okay, so everybody's trying to beat this guy, and one of the things that people do is like, okay, well, I'm going to put some of my capital into my own strategy. I'm going to put some of my capital into this guy's strategy because, hey, why not? And that's basically the first investor in other traders is a trader who understands how hard it is to do what this guy's doing.
Sure.
And then traders tend to be the knowledgeable parties in their own circles. So if somebody is doing well, then chances are the word is going to spread around, and it does spread off the back of the community. So to be honest, how do we go about getting the investors? Is we just put things out there like they are. We disclose what's out there, and then people just find it and come. It's basically the way that's happened. I think that over the years, this was very hard at first because if you have bad traders, you don't get investors. But now we're kind of honored to have 20, 30, 40 traders. At least those are the ones that are in my personal portfolio that post good returns. So we have attracted investors, institutional investors by now, professional investors who are depositing more and more money. So the average account size right now is about 30,000 euros for each investor. And I think, as I mentioned, the ketchup bottle doesn't go just for the traders individually, it goes for the community as well. So I think we're now starting to get into the point where people realize, okay, these people are retail in terms of their wallets, but they're not retail in terms of their heads. And when that happens, then it's really about the skill. I mean, I hate the word retail trader. I possibly hate it. I mean, it's just I think it's a really bad word.
Sure. Yeah, a little bit demeaning. I agree with you, especially when he's got 31 million in his hedge fund. Yeah, you couldn't describe him as nothing but a world-class trader.
Yeah, and I think what's retail about it is the wallet, but who gives a toss about the wallet? I mean, it's the head that counts, right? So
exactly. Yeah, well, and like you say, we can track investment through your company. So yeah, brilliant. And also, so now, sort of the people that are watching have got an understanding of the products available to them. We've got lots of questions like, what can they trade? So they can trade pretty much anything, Juan. Commodities, Forex, stocks, anything.
Yeah, so we come from a CFD background, and apologies for that. The reason that's for another day. But like for now, what can they trade? They can trade anything which is liquid and Delta One in principle. And for the time being, it's the most kind of 40 most liquid currency pairs, the most liquid equity indices, commodities, and 800 single name stocks from the US. Okay, as well as 200 ETFs. That's what they can trade for now. We're now also working on hopefully adding futures in the course of this year. And depending on how, I mean, we will try and add crypto to the platform, although crypto comes with its own set of challenges from a regulatory standpoint. I haven't mentioned, but we own an FCA regulated broker, and the banks that host or that hold our client monies positively hate crypto. So we want to add it to the mix, but I'm not sure we will be allowed to do it by people who are outside our control.
No, it's been in the news for all the wrong reasons recently. So
yeah,
fair enough. And MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5 as well, Juan. Then 2 platforms,
on Darwin Ex Zero, and then on Darwinex Classic, also interactive brokers.
Okay, all right, brilliant. And then just, anything you would like to add, Juan? Maybe there's something I haven't uncovered about DarwinX, or why is it such a good investment for traders to, get a Darwin Ex Zero or use Darwinex Classic? Anything else you would like to add, Juan, that perhaps this interview didn't bring up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's come up. I just like to reiterate the best time to plant that track record was 10 years ago, and the second best time is now. And then by all means, you want to trade prop accounts, but by all means do. If you're already good account, if you've got a good strategy, chances are you've made more than €1,000, so you can put €1,000 to good use by growing your capital, growing €1,000 whilst you get a track record plus capital allocations for free. So I can't really think of that much of a cost. And then in the meantime, if you manage to make lots of money from the prop accounts, then all the better. But our outside investors are the icing on the cake of the track record, I guess.
Sure. And thinking of the future now, Juan, is there, we talk about how you started DarwinX. We talk about everything you're doing now in terms of investing in traders and risk management and, attracting as much investment as you can. Thinking to the future, Juan, is there anything, can you give us an exclusive? Is there anything you're working on or working with, or anything that's happening in the near future with DarwinX, or is it classified and you'll have to shoot me?
I mean, I think it's all natural evolution. I like to use our terms. I mean, I think the most important thing, it's hard enough to beat the market as it is. So we'll try and put as few hurdles in the way of traders as we can. And that means adding more assets that they can trade, adding more order types that they can trade, adding more platforms that they can use. So assets, I mentioned already, futures, equities, platforms. There's a lot of people talk about TradingView. Some people want a REST API for algorithmic traders. I think I haven't mentioned that. I mean, for us, it doesn't matter how you skin a cat as long as you skin it. So you can be manual, algorithmic, scalper, swing trader, whatever you want. By the way, there are no restrictions to your trading style. That makes us different.
Okay.
Just none.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Good, because that's a lot of what the questions were about, Juan.
Yeah,
so great. No restrictions.
No restrictions. And I think that's of course the next thing is the more capital we attract, the more success stories there are, and the bigger the motivation for everybody to join the platform. And the more people that join the platform, the more we can reinvest in traders and so on. So it's a virtuous circle that everybody can participate in. Because one thing I haven't said is, in a prop setup, you're working to make the prop richer. In our setup, everybody gets to invest in everyone else, so everybody can be their own prop, and that's actually quite relevant to communities. So talking about the future, we're going to invest quite a bit in product features so that trader communities can challenge each other to trade more and more investably. So that's something a scoop I can give you. There's going to be a community product where hopefully we can get this community to participate and show what you guys have in yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. You would be up for that challenge, Juan. Just let us know, and when that's ready to go, and we'll
it's on its way.
Good traders in our community, so we'll be sure to take part. Right, let's take. Okay, we've just got a few questions here. Let me start from the top and work our way down. Let me have a look at a few questions. Bear with me, Juan. Let me just find a couple.
Of course. I'm sure some of them will have to do with the indexing and calibration and all that. So happy to explain.
Yeah. Okay. So one says here is talking about leverage.
Yeah.
Leverage seems low. It's 20-1 on all pairs, or is that just minor pairs?
Yeah. Okay. And that goes to a big thing that we haven't discussed now. So, sorry about that. I've got this sore throat today.
I think everyone's got this one.
Yeah, and I think it's this crazy weather thing. I don't know what's going on. Right. So this goes back to the 100,000 euros thing. So we're trying to get people to grow the 100,000 euros by 20% a month. And 20-1 leverage is more than plenty for that.
Okay.
So it's got to do with the game. So you're not trying to grow the 100,000 euros into $1 million in a year. All we want you to achieve is grow the 100,000 euros into 120,000 euros this year, 144,000 year after that, and so on and so forth. Okay, so leverage is not a part of our game, and leverage is not a part of an investable track record. That's why it's limited, because there's no need to have more.
No, and slow and steady. Yeah, we don't. More leverage normally leads to riskier trading, and obviously that's the opposite of what you want.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Mihi from the UK, can you tell us more about the rules and limitations, what and how traders can trade, like any consistent rules, copy trades, using AI, limitations? But we pretty much touched on that. But if you'd like to add anything,
there's one big limitation in our thing, and there's one special thing in our setup. Okay, there's I think the good thing is there's only one, and it will never change. But I haven't actually properly explained it yet. And this is this process whereby, and it's related to the 20-1 leverage and all that. Comes back to the point I mentioned before in terms of the level playing field between the traders.
Yeah.
Also goes back to the copy trading and so on. But like for now, let's just say, so you've got trader A. He's got a certain strategy, trades in a certain way with leverage of 1. And you take trader B, and he does the exact same thing because he's copied that strategy he's completely swiped the strategy from trader A, but he trades with twice as much leverage as trader 1. What's the better strategy?
Well, the first trader.
The first trader, why?
Well, because he's, in terms of what you want for a trader, he's using less leverage, protecting the account more.
Okay, I mean that's a step in the right direction, but I think like my answer to that is they are one and the same trader. It is one and the same strategy. What remains though is our investor promise. Okay, so we've told that investor at the other end, any strategy you invest in DarwinX is about as risky as the S&P 500 on a forward-looking basis. Just to give you an idea how risky is the S&P 500, over a 1-month period, 19 out of 20 months, you will make between minus 6.5 and plus 6.5. That's the risk. It's not plus minus 2 or plus minus 50, it's plus minus 6.5. Okay. So what we do is we work out from this trader 1, the way he's trading, the number of trades he places, how long he hangs on to trades, because more things can happen in a long trade than in a short trade, and how much leverage he takes. We're going to work out, okay, the way this guy trades, his results would be plus minus 20% on a 1-month basis. And that's about 3 times as risky as the 6.5 we've promised. What do we do then? Every trade he trades, we're going to take 1/3 of his position on behalf of investor positions.
Okay. And that's that risk management that you help
that's the
with.
That's the risk scaling thing. And that's why you trade a 100,000 euro account that translates into a notional index that comes with 100. Okay, so the game is not played with 100,000 euros because trader 1 is traded with 1x leverage, and trader 2 is trading with 2x leverage, and the investor doesn't care about that because he wants to have the same risk at the other end. So what we will do is any trade that trader 1 takes, in this particular case, because that's the strategy, we will take the leverage and take it divide it by 3.
Yeah, minimize it basically.
Well, not minimize it. We'll just scale it, because it's not about. We have to have some leverage. And then trader 2, he's trading twice as much risk as the trader 1, and therefore 6 times as much risk as the investor wants. So any position he takes, we're going to take 1/6 of it. Okay. So an investor looking at those 2 strategies are going to realize these 2 strategies are the same.
Yeah. Okay. By the time it gets to the investor, the strategy is identical.
Exactly. It's identical because it was identical to begin with. The only thing that was missing was the translation. Yeah. So we had to basically level the playing field between those 2 guys.
Yeah.
And then make it possible for the investor to just look at any strategy and say, okay, if this strategy has produced more returns over a certain amount of period, then the one that's produced the more returns is the better strategy, because they're the same for risk.
Yeah, totally understand. Yeah, and from the trader's point of view, all treated exactly the same and level playing field for attracting investment.
Exactly. So, and that's the only rule. The only rule here is that whatever you do on your account is not what's going to happen for the investor. What happens for the investor, we will tell you after every trade, but it's the index that counts. So the strategy starts with 100,000 euros of capital, but the game you're playing is growing this NAV from your hedge fund from 100 onwards. Okay. And that's the only rule. You can trade at night, you can trade, you can scalp, you can do this, you can do that. There's no restrictions. There never have been. We have a 10-year track record in doing that. And bear in mind, there are no restrictions, because you can take that track record and open a live brokerage account, and there's no restrictions on a live brokerage account. So the restrictions are whatever restrictions you've got on a live brokerage account. There never were any others, and there will never be any others. We've been doing this for 10 years now. Why is that? Well, because a hedge fund doesn't care how you skin a cat, right? I mean, as long as you skin it with control risk, which is what we're doing. So the risk has to be consistent. It doesn't have to be high or low, because remember, trader 2 was twice as risky as trader 1. He could be 50 times as risky. We don't give a shit, because we're going to scale the positions down to the level playing field.
Yes.
The only important thing is that you're consistent.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Yeah, and this leads on to a question here, Juan. So it says, the amazing trader who was trading 31 million in capital.
Yeah.
His drawdown was 14 point something %.
Yeah.
Is there like a max drawdown?
No, you can't fail. No. This is not an exam. You can't fail. I mean, you're basically showing you can't fail. Of course, if the larger the drawdown, the less attractive you're going to be to investors. But it's not us who are going to say you're out of the game, because no one's out of the game. This is just survival of the fittest.
Okay. Hence the name Darwin.
Hence the name Darwinex. Yeah.
Yeah. And another question here from Ken Lee: are US traders welcome?
Okay, that's a great point. So they are welcome at Zero, so they can build a track record with Zero, because we're not taking their client monies. They cannot open live accounts with Darwinex Classic yet, but we're working with one of the US FX broker dealers, and it's a short list, to be able to take whatever track record they've got from Zero onto a live account with that partner broker. So the answer is they are welcome on the Zero platform. Unfortunately, that's going to cost 38 euros minus whatever we pay them out. And then we are working, and that's one of the scoops of 2024, to hopefully integrate with one of these brokers so that they can go onto Darwinex Classic from the US.
Okay. All right. So Kenley, I hope that's cleared that up for you. So I can answer this one myself. Is there any minimum time for each trade? No.
No.
Like you said, no limitations there. What is the minimum and maximum lot size? There isn't one, as long as you keep.
Well, there is. I mean, the 20-to-1 leverage thing that we mentioned on the 100,000 euros, but again, it doesn't. It's irrelevant. The way the game works. I mean, I know it takes a bit to get it around to, but I think that's why I started with the why. I mean, we're thinking of, we've made an investor promise. That investor promise is, this thing is about as risky as the S&P 500. We're going to scale any trades in a way such that, taking into account the trading style, that's the risk they've got on a forward-looking basis.
Yeah. Okay. What else we're looking at here? If you see Sylvia, I'm going to trade at the same, like to get okay, run of that. So Again, we sort of answered this. So do you or the investor have to know what strategy I will be trading? Also, do I have to wait 3 years before getting funding? Do I have to pay 38 euros every time
Yeah, I
before I
think
get
that's
funding?
a lot of questions, and it makes me feel
Yes.
bad because I don't think I've explained very well what we're doing. Okay, so let's take it one step at a time. So the 38 euros is what you pay to certify your track record. I mean, you pay 38 euros to go to the gym to get your body in shape. Well, you pay 38 euros per month to certify how well you're doing. Okay, that's what the service is. It's 38 euros per month. There's no uncertainty around that. Okay, worst case, by the way. Okay, so then do you have to wait 3 years before you get funding? Well, the answer is there's no set rule as to how much you have to wait, because it's really a question from the investors who choose. Okay, the investors choose. Some people choose to give a strategy like only 1 year of waiting time. They choose to go for 3 years time or whatever it is. It's really the investors who choose. For our part, we have this virtual allocation program, which people can land from as early as the first month, although it's not 100% guaranteed the first month, but 10% of the competitors in the platform get an allocation at any given point in time. Getting an allocation doesn't cost any extra. Remember, it's 38 euros that you're paying for the certification. The allocation is on us because we want people to not lose faith and keep going at it until the investors notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the investor will not have to know what the strategy is that they are trading. The only people that know is our dealing desk. No one else does, because if we told the investors or we allowed copy trading, then people would basically be in a position to make money at your expense.
Yeah, sure. Okay, and yeah, there's a sign up fee, and then you pay 38 euro per month, and that's building a track record and attracting investment for that. That's what you're paying for, basically. And what I like about it is you're not risking, if you're a new trader and you're trying to build this track record, you're not risking any of your own capital. It's all, virtual money, which can still attract investment and you still get real payouts, so.
And once you're not making, once you know you can grow your life capital, then the 38 euros goes away and it's free.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so yeah, I hope that cleared that up, guys, as well. And what about Canadians?
Same as US.
Okay, all right, okay. All right then, Juan. So I'd just like to, thank you very much for coming on to our YouTube channel. We've, really enjoyed having you, and you've cleared up a lot of things for people, because we've had a lot of people interested in Darwinex, but they were just waiting for this live stream to just clarify a few things and hear it from the horse's mouth, if you like. So yeah, I'm sure you'll get a few sign-ups, and people, the response is great so far. Juan, we're getting a lot of likes, and like this idea of building a track record and this longevity and becoming a hedge fund is basically what you'll become.
So, I mean, here's a challenge for you guys. Why don't you, I promised to send a very cool goodie from Darwinex to the first guy who volunteers for us to diagnose his strategy in front of the rest of the community.
Okay.
So any of you guys already on the platform, and whoever, you tell me, but what typically works best is somebody who's already using it. We take his strategy, we dissect it in front of everyone else to show how the platform works. Because once they see it, it's going to be a lot more easy to understand than now. So I would be very happy to have a follow-up session with whoever's courageous enough to go first.
All right, Juan. Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll put that on. We've got our YouTube channel, we've got our Discord channel, so we'll see who signs up to Darwin Ex Zero, and then we'll put the challenge out there, Juan, and we'll let you know. We'll let you know who's brave enough.
Yes, because once they see it, it's going to be. It sounded quite abstract today. So Jimmy's using it, so I think we've got a winner. So
there you go.
I think first come, first served. Jimmy's doing it. What's your ticker, Jimmy? Hopefully he's got one. Oh well, the issues with the live But yeah, I mean, like, you know Jimmy, right? So I
Yeah.
would say we take him up on that, and then we can
Yep.
schedule the next one, and we show how it all works in practice off the back of MIKU, which is Mama India Kilo Uniform. And Jimmy, thank you so much for volunteering, because yeah, I'd be happy to and honored to take a look at MIKU and show you all how it all works off the back of that one.
Brilliant,
Okay.
Juan. Well, let's do that. Let's do a follow-up to this live stream, and we'll do it with that ticker. I'll just check with Jimmy that that's all okay. And then, yeah, we'll arrange another one, Juan, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Likewise, yeah, I really look forward to it. And I think when people see it, they'll become a lot more understandable. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely do that.
okay.
All right, Juan. Well, thank you very much once again. Really enjoyed having you on, Juan, and we'll see you again in the near future. And guys, if you've really enjoyed having Juan as a guest and, you know, interested in DarwinX and attracting capital, then firstly, click on the link below the live stream. So, Juan, thanks once again. See you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Look forward to the next